Hi, Northmont kindergarten friends and anyone else who might be watching. If you are subscribed to this YouTube channel. This is Mrs. Rutledge, and I'm going to be reading some books about plants. So in our take-home packet, from our supplementary packet that kinder teachers have put together, there are a few pages in there about plants. And last week we did a special activity with a video of how to eat a plant, and that was really fun. And we did some drawing of plants and the parts of a plant. And today we're going to read Seed to Plant. And this is a National Geographic book for kids. And since this book has real pictures of real plants and real things, it is called a nonfiction book, or sometimes it might be called an informational text because it's giving us real information about real things. So, Seed to Plant. And there we go. Thumbs up for the title page. Seed to Plant. And the person who wrote this book, and I'm guessing took the pictures, is Kristin Baird Rattini. So she's the author and the photographer, I guess, for this book. And something else that informational textbooks have a lot of times is a table of contents. A table of contents is kind of like gives us information about what is being discussed or what is being shown on these pages of the book. So you have page numbers over here, and then you have different categories of different things. So that way, if I were doing a report on plants, but I only needed like specific information about pollen and to add to my report, then I might look down at all of the different categories here and see, oh, here, I see something about pollen here. And that starts on page 20. So then I could turn to page 20 in my book and read just that information about pollen. So it just gives you an idea, and it gives you an idea of what this book is gonna also talk to you about. See if you're interested. All right, let's start. What is a plant? A plant is a living thing. It stays in one place, but it grows and it changes just like you. Here's an example of a water lily plant, a special type of plant that grows in the water. And down here we have a fern type of plant, and maybe you've seen that. They have long branches with smaller individual leaves on them. Plants can be big or small. Some have flowers and others might grow fruit. Trees are plants too. And over here we see a tree. That's a tangerine tree. Yeah, they look like oranges, but it's technically tangerines. And this is an orchid. I just got one of these for Mother's Day yesterday. So yeah, it's beautiful. Hard to keep alive though. I have a hard time with keeping orchids alive. I'm never good at that, but I will try really hard. So yeah, lots of different kinds of plants. So basically plants are living things, and they grow and change like you. Plants are a big, important part of our world. Farmers grow fruits and vegetables. These plants give us food. And here we see a big farm field, lots of different fields planted with different things. A tractor here. This tractor looks like it's kind of sucking up some stuff, maybe cutting down some grasses or some old plants that were there. And this special machine is then shooting like the grass clippings into the back of this truck or this cart. Or maybe it's some kind of special alfalfa or something that they're cutting down. Some plants can be used to make things like clothing. If you're wearing a t-shirt or jeans, whatever clothes you have on right now, your t-shirt is probably made from cotton. If you look on the label, it might say cotton. Other plants are cozy homes for animals. So here's a little bear cub in a tree, like a fallen dead big tree, and it's made a little den inside there. And this is a man, a farmer, who's out inspecting the cotton in his cotton field. So when cotton grows, it has a big pod, a big seed pod, and at a certain point, that seed pod bursts open, and there's this fluffy cotton inside. Yeah. Oh, there's also a joke up here. It says, how is a tree like a big dog? They both have a lot of bark. Oh, we love these books in class. We always love the jokes. Then we have the parts of a plant, and we already know a lot of these parts. You can use your body to talk about the parts of the plant. For instance, your head can be the flower, and your arms can be the leaves, and your body can be the stem, and your feet with your toes are like the roots. I have a little song I'll teach you that goes with that. Roots hold the plant in the ground. The stem helps the plants stand up straight and tall. And the leaves' job is to soak up all the sunlight, because that's what helps make food for the plant. So here we have the flower, the leaves, the stem, and the roots. How does a plant begin? I bet a lot of you know this. Do you know what this is called? It looks like a bean, and it probably is a bean. It's going to grow into a bean plant, but we can also call that the seed. So when you're eating beans, you're actually eating the seed of the plant. Did you know that? So cool. So it says, first of all, let's dig in. Most plants start as a seed. So here's our seed. The seed splits open. As it swells up with water, if it's planted in the ground, it swells up with water and moisture. And as it swells, eventually it kind of like expands almost like a little balloon as it swells up with water, as it absorbs moisture from the ground. And then eventually it splits open and a little tiny shoot will pop out. This shoot pushes down into the ground, and part of that will become the roots of the plant. And then this other little green part will will climb up. So part of it goes down into the ground, and then the other part starts to go up. And that's what it's showing over here. The fancy schmancy word for that process, when a seed starts to grow, is called germination. It's this big long word right there, germination. And then a new plant is beginning. So as that pokes up through the ground, you can see this is part of that leftover seed right here. It lost its seed coat, the brown outer coating, and now it's green, and it's gonna unfold, and in the middle, out starts to come the baby seed leaves. They're called seed leaves, or new leaves, the first leaves that come out. Yeah, a seedling starts to grow, and here shows that this little seed growing in the different stages. Roots reach down deep into the soil, and that helps keep the plant in place. A stem pushes up and grows into the air. And then here you have those first, what they call the seed leaves, the first leaves, which are these little baby leaves. and those are the first leaves on the plant, and then the rest of the plant keeps growing above it, growing new leaves and maybe eventually a flower, or a flower that might turn into maybe a bean, right? If it's a bean plant, start to grow some beans. Plants, it says a plant grows. Just like you, a plant grows bigger and bigger. The roots spread out and down into the soil. The stem gets bigger and thicker and stronger. More leaves and branches grow. So here's some girls out in a garden, and they're watering some plants. They look like tomato plants, because plants need a lot of water, especially if it's a garden type of plant that grows tomatoes or cucumbers or some type of food. It needs a lot of water to do that. And then this picture shows a teeny tiny tree and then a big tree behind it. That tree will be big just like the one behind it someday. What do plants need? If you were in my class or any kindergarten class, you probably talked with your teachers about what plants need. We had that unit a few weeks ago. So you might remember we talked about soil or dirt, and then the water is another one. And then it needs some kind of food, which it actually makes its own food. And in order to make food, it needs sunlight and air, and it needs space to grow. Yeah, if plants are planted too close to one another, oftentimes one of them might die, or sometimes both will die if they're too close to each other because they can't get the sunlight they need, right? Water and some food come from the soil, and the roots help to soak that up for them. Sunlight and air enter the plant through the leaves. That's the job of the leaves, is to soak up that sunlight and air. Plants use them to make more food, and plants also need space. Yeah, and that's what that picture shows. The roots, the soil, and the soil helps provide that moisture from when it rains, and the nutrients from the soil, and the roots soak it up and carry it up through the stem, or in this case, the trunk of the tree, which is its stem, and out to the branches and the leaves. Oh, here's another joke. How does a flower ride a bike? With its petals. Ah! With its petals. So funny. All right, here's some 6 fun facts about plants. Number 1, this palm tree seed, this is a giant seed he's holding, can weigh as much as a 4th grader. Wow, that's a lot. It is also the heaviest seed in the world. So this heavy, big seed probably grows into a pretty big palm tree, I imagine. Number 2, scrub-a-dub in the tub. Did you know that plants are used to make soaps and shampoos that you use when you take a bath or a shower? Number 3, the paper used to make this book is made from trees. Yeah, trees help make paper. Number 4, one sunflower can make as many as 1,000 seeds. And if you watched my video about eating a plant, we talked about sunflower seeds and how they come from that middle part of the flower. Number 5, bamboo grows the fastest of any plant. It can grow as tall as a 3-year-old kid just in one day. So it grows about 2 feet in a day. Yeah, that's pretty fast. A lot faster than we grow, huh? Number 6, the tallest living tree is taller than the Statue of Liberty that's in New York City. Our story this week had the Statue of Liberty at the beginning. If you watched that video, we talked a little bit about the Statue of Liberty. So there's a tree somewhere, I'm guessing maybe Northern California, the redwoods, probably a tree can get as big as the Statue of Liberty. So cool. Here is a flower up close. Flowers bloom. Many plants grow flowers. They start as a little bump called a bud. The bud slowly opens and the petals gently unfold. And inside, surprise, it's a flower. And inside is where we have that pollen. Here's another joke. What did one flower say to another? Hiya, bud. Aha! Oh, this is one of my favorite parts about flowers. Sticky pollen. Flowers make a sticky powder called pollen that's always usually in the middle part of that flower. Pollen sticks to birds and bees when they fly from flower to flower. Then the pollen, look at this bee, he's got a lot of pollen. Usually it's just kind of on their back legs, but this guy, he must have been in a lot of flowers. The pollen rubs off on the other flowers that the bee goes to. And this process is called, do you remember? Big word, pollination. Yeah, it helps flowers make seeds. And it's what turns flowers into an apple, like a fruit, like an apple, or a vegetable. Yeah. And it helps the seeds grow inside. Pollination is really important so that we have the food we need to eat. Plants keep seeds in different places. Many plants grow a special case around the seeds, like a special pocket that the seeds are protected in. This case is called a pod, a seed pod. Things like peas and maple tree seeds grow in pods. And here's a pea pod with the little peas inside. And those are actually the seeds. And if you eat the whole pea pod, I love snap peas and pea pods. If you eat the whole thing, you're eating the seed pod and the seeds all at the same time. Orange seeds are different than their seeds are actually on the inside. And that's the case with a lot of different fruits. Their seeds are hiding on the inside, being protected. But strawberries are neat because strawberry seeds are actually on the outside. All those little dots that you see on the outside of a strawberry, those are actually the seeds. They're really tiny. Oh, another joke. What does a plant say when it doesn't want any company? Leave me alone. Ha! Now, sometimes what happens is seeds can take a trip. Some float on the wind. Others are carried away by animals. The seeds sometimes just fall to the ground, and soon they sprout or germinate, and then a new plant begins. So yeah, birds, they like to eat little berries off of the bushes, and they might drop a berry, or here's what other animals do, and I talked to my class about this before, but a lot of animals will eat berries and fruits and different things, and they eat the seed at the same time, and then they poop. They poop, and there might be seeds in their poop. And guess what? The poop is a really nice place for that seed to germinate. I know it's gross, ooh, but it's true. And that helps to spread plants and things all around. Other times, animals like squirrels love to hide their acorns and different seeds that they find. Maybe they're not hungry, so they like to store their food. Sometimes they bury it or they hide it under some leaves or whatever, and then sometimes they forget about it and it stays there, And eventually those seeds might sprout too. Yeah, this is a dandelion. Dandelions start out as those pretty yellow flowers that we see. It's actually a weed, but that yellow flower, as it dries up, it becomes this. Yeah, it becomes this. Those petals, the yellow petals of the dandelion flower dry up and fall off. And what's left are these seeds that get real poofy, right? And it looks like a little poofy ball, a white ball on top of the stem. Those are actually seeds. When I was a kid, we used to blow on them and watch them float through the air. And eventually they'll drop to the ground and they'll grow into another dandelion, probably in your neighbor's yard. Pass the plants, please. People and animals eat plants to stay healthy. How many plants have you eaten today? Like this giant panda, they love to eat bamboo. And I bet a lot of you might be eating this summer, some yummy watermelon. And that's a plant with seeds in it, right? And sometimes we just eat the seeds when we eat watermelon. Sometimes we spit them out too. And then at the end, it tells you how you can make your own, grow your own bean plant. Yeah, you need a lima bean, a cup of water, a flower pot, a glass jar or a paper cup, and some soil. Actually, you can just get a plastic baggie and put a wet paper towel and a bean seed inside and hang it up in a window, and it'll start to germinate. It'll start to sprout. And after it gets a little bigger, then you can plant it and grow a bean plant. Very cool. All right, I hope you enjoyed our story of seed to plant today and the funny jokes.